Hi there, Michael Griffiths here, founder of Referral Marketing Guru, and great to be with you, whether you're listening to us on our Get More Referrals Today podcast, you're watching this on our expert interview series on social media or on Referral TV. Great to have you with us, so excited. I have Hope Brookins all the way over there from Arkansas, who I've had the pleasure of knowing now for several months, and just really impressed with her philosophy, her IP, her understanding around branding and publicity. Very few people can actually get publicity the way that good people in the industry can, which is why I know being able to speak to Hope was something we had to do and be able to share her with the rest of our networks and community. So Hope, welcome. I know we are, well, I'm Thursday morning here, so you're fairly late Wednesday evening. So really appreciate you jumping on the call with us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to talk to everyone.
Absolute pleasure. So let's start us off. Tell us the story, to give us your background, let people get to understand a little bit more about yourself.
Perfect. Yeah, I'll give you guys the condensed version. Most people know me because about a decade ago, my family and I built our own house from the ground up using YouTube videos as our guide. We did this because we were leaving a really traumatic domestic violence situation and we needed a new house. The only way we could afford one that was big enough for 4 kids and my mother was if we built it ourselves. So we did just that. That led me to a political career because I wanted to make sure no one else experienced anything like that. By the time I was 19, I had worked for a former president of the United States, 14 United States congressmen, and a handful of politicians at every level of office in Arkansas. So there I really truly started learning about branding. And I also learned that I didn't really like politicians that much. So I took all of the skills that I learned actually working on political campaigns and with politicians and from my political science degree, and I transferred those over to entrepreneurs. That's what I do now. I work with entrepreneurs in the online space. So you're probably wondering how that house story translates to what I'm doing now. Well, I had to, of course, apply all of these branding skills that I learned from working with politicians and publicity skills that I learned from working with politicians to my own family. So when my mom wrote a book about us building our house and the events that led up to that, I launched a huge publicity campaign around that. And within 2 weeks, my family was featured in over 1,000 media outlets in more than 65 countries, from the Today Show, People Magazine, all of them, CNN, every major national and international media outlet in essentially the world. It was an incredible experience. And that's exactly what I help people do. I help them figure out what's most profitable about themselves and build a platform around it.
Yeah, brilliant. Fantastic. And there's nothing like actually having results on the board and have already done it, which is obviously what has taken place. So brand. To me, brand is as simple as getting more exposure. If no one knows who you are, then you're the world's best kept secret. And what's the point of being the world's best kept secret? So what is brand? When people talk about brand, there's so many different things that branding people talk about that are always so different that can become quite confusing. So what does it actually mean to you?
To me, brand means the perception that other people have about you. So to me, brand is what people think about you, and then publicity is whether they actually know your brand. Yeah. So that's why I work on those two things together, because it's one thing to have a good brand and to know exactly what your message is, what your movement is, how you want to be perceived. But there's the extra step of actually getting publicity so that people know about your brand.
Yeah, perfect.
That's why I do both, because they go hand in hand. They're both essential to be successful in business, with a personal brand, and whatever you want to do.
So true, so true. And I would say that when I go to the majority, I reckon at least 85% of business owners out there, coaches, consultants, speakers, authors, online business people, they don't even know what they stand for themselves, which makes it very hard for you to create a brand around it.
Yes, that's so true. And I see that so often with clients that come to me. So many people come to me for publicity initially. And then after we have a short conversation, they realize, wait, I don't even know what I want to be known for.
Yeah.
I don't even know what my brand is truly about. So a lot of people have to stop and think, what do they want to be known for? Because ultimately, it's really simple. The way that you want to perceive people, it has to be or the way that you want people to perceive you, it has to be able to be boiled down to a very simple statement or even one word. So that's what I help people do. And that's, the first question that people should ask themselves, that entrepreneurs should ask themselves, what do you want to be known for?
Yeah, brilliant. And there's some things that we've been doing over the past month where all this fits in nicely, and been talking about to our guys, who do you want in and who do you want out? What's your criteria for working with people? And then once you understand that, it makes it much easier to know, well, who do you want to attract, not from just a client perspective, but from a partner perspective, from a publicity perspective, from just about any angle. And unless you're clear on those things, really you're just sort of floating around hoping that something lands, but you're probably wasting an awful lot of time.
Absolutely. Knowing your target audience, whether that's target audience in terms of customers, target audience in terms of partners, in terms of followers, is crucial when you're developing a brand, because first of all, you need to make sure that you're trying to attract people who are going to resonate with your message, who care about that thing that you want to be known for. And second of all, you want to make sure they're people who can afford to work with you. So identifying that target audience and knowing every single thing about them is crucial.
Yeah, no, perfect. Lovely. Okay, so here I am. I'm some sort of coach consultant. I'm sort of not really known for anything whatsoever. What do you do with me first?
Mm-hmm. Well, the first thing I do with you is figure out that one thing you want to be known for, because that's the first starting point that everything else stems from. So I work with people who have a business, book, product, service, or cause that they want to promote. And usually the thing that they want to be known for is really closely tied to one of those 5 things. So let's say it's someone who has a business they want to promote. I don't help people find publicity for that business or for the business. I help people find publicity or build a brand around themselves as the business owner. Does that make sense? So I really help people elevate themselves as that public figure. So honestly, most people who come to me are already running successful businesses, but want to build a brand around themselves for the expertise that they've now built in another business. Maybe they have a social media agency. They're doing a great job. They're working with a bunch of amazing clients, but nobody knows who they are.
Yep.
So I help them build a platform around themselves.
Yeah, brilliant. And then the publicity side, obviously, as we know, come hand in hand. What are some of the things? Because I suppose when people hear about publicity, they go, big media agencies charging tens of thousands of dollars. It might not work, and it probably scares a lot of people off.
That's exactly what I was going to say about publicity. People are terrified of it, and I don't know why. I certainly wasn't. It's really simple. Publicity is simple. You have to say something. You have to have a story that's outrageous enough to get attention. So when you're thinking about your own story, when you're thinking about publicity, that's the first step, is thinking about, what is my story? It doesn't have to be your whole life story, your origin story. It just has to be, what story do I have about myself or about my business, book, product, service, or cause right now that I can tell to the media? When it comes to getting media, everybody starts out thinking, I want to be on the Today Show. They're getting my first exclusive interview, but it doesn't work that way. It's so much more of a successful plan to start with local media. When my family went viral, our first interview was with the local media. It went really well. So it was picked up across news stations, news syndicates across the country that night. Because it was so successful, the next morning CNN was calling. Did we have a big publicity firm? No. It was me in my pajamas with a top bun on my head on the couch, eating a lot of ice cream emailing people, calling people, setting up all the interviews, making my mom and then sometimes my entire family do them. So you don't need a publicity team. You can handle publicity entirely by yourself.
Yeah, lovely. And I think the big key takeaway there, people who are, whether you're listening on the podcast or watching this, is story. What is something,
Absolutely.
what's your unique angle? What is it that makes you stand out rather than just being the same as any other business person out there?
Mm-hmm. For sure. And there's 7 different types of story out there. You know, if you think of the rags to riches format, if you think of the journey, the overcoming the monster, you want to put your story into one of those frameworks because 99% of stories told fit into one of those 7 frameworks. And that's what makes it super easy and digestible on the media. If you go to the media with a story that's in one of those frameworks that you've been able to par down, your odds of actually being featured go up so significantly because it's less work on their end. You already have it all in a pretty little package that they know they can translate to TV, to radio, to whatever media they're using.
Yeah, lovely. Fantastic. So where my mind just sort of went there is, and you're talking about little local stations and them being picked up, and there's a way obviously that you can, especially with social media these days, find journalists, find editors, be able to get in front of them so much easier than what you used to be able to do 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But I would imagine that they're getting hundreds, if not tens of thousands of requests every day. How do you stand out to one of those people? How do they notice you, even if you've got a great story, when they're getting so many different requests?
Well, I'd say a few things about that. Number one, I personally still think the best way to reach editors, to reach writers, journalists, is via email. And you can find their emails sometimes just on their websites, and other times you have to do a little bit more online stalking, but usually you can figure it out. Now, as for how to make your story stand out, how to make yourself stand out, 2 things on that. Number one, it all comes down to the subject line. You hear this so often in the online marketing world, but really when it comes to media, it's even more important. You have to basically write your own headline for your story as the subject line of your email when you're reaching out to reporters so that it's already written. They then view it as a story. You have to make it sound sensational and you have to make it sound like something that people will click on online. So that's the huge key. The other huge key is to make your story so impressive online, on your social media platforms, on your website, that you have people coming to you.
Yeah, good.
Sometimes people think that the strategy is I have to reach out, I have to pitch myself. But if you build a strong, successful brand, the media is going to come to you instead of you having to go reach out for an interview. So that can be an even easier journey as opposed to reaching out, because then once you reach out to 1 or 2, people are going to come to you and see that credibility that you already have interviews. So that's the other avenue you can take, is just to build a really amazing brand and they'll come to you.
Yeah, lovely. So if we were to sort of put these into some sort of little dot points,
Mm-hmm.
you'd sort of start off, and please just jump in at any time, you'd start off with making sure that you understood who you wanted to attract, what you stood for yourself. You'd have a story around that. Then you can go out and start making contact with people who could give you more exposure.
Yep, basically just that. Figure out that thing you want to be known for. Figure out the audience that wants to know you for that thing. Figure out your story, and a story that is really telling the same transformational journey that group of people from step 2, your audience, wants to go on. And then, step 4 is either pitching it to media or having your brand so media ready that they come to you.
Yeah, brilliant. Fantastic. So share with us, how can people connect with yourself?
Yeah, they can go to my website at hopebrookins.com, or they can find me on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, all at Hope Brookins.
Yeah, brilliant. So we'll put that link in the description below. So if you're listening to this on our podcast or watching this on YouTube or on social platforms, look in the descriptions to the link, and that's how you can then connect straight away with Hope. If you have a business that you go, look, I'm the world's best kept secret at the moment, I need to be getting myself out there, what are some of the things that you can do to help people?
Well, the first thing that I can do to help people just right here, right now, is tell them how to pitch themselves. Can we do that really quick?
Please.
Perfect. So if you want to pitch yourself, you're ready, you're fired up, you're like, I've got a strong brand, I'm ready to go. Stalk an editor. Find a recent article that they've written. Make sure it's relevant to who you are. Find their email address. Send them an email. Mention the article that you just read. Tell them why you like it. Tell them why it's had an impact on you. Give them a super short blurb of your story and tell them why their audience would love it. You're going to get a feature. You might have to do it to 5 people, 10 people, 10 editors. You're going to get a feature.
Fantastic. I know what I'm doing today. Very, very good. That's just so simple.
It really is. People overcomplicate getting publicity, and it really is as simple as telling a good story. Yeah,
brilliant. Brilliant. So you're listening or watching that, there is an action item for you to be able to do straight away. We love our experts who charge thousands and thousands of dollars, yet are so willing to just be able to give you something that can change your life and your business instantly. So really appreciate that, Hope.
Awesome.
No, lovely. Okay, so again, make sure you connect with Hope. Hope, you're working with people pretty much all over the place. It doesn't really matter where they're from.
No, they can be from anywhere as long as they can understand my Southern accent.
Yeah, fantastic. Lovely. So again, if you're listening to this on Get More Referrals today, make sure you connect with Hope. In the description is her website. If you're watching this on social media, make sure you just go and find at Hope Brookins, and you will find her on all those different platforms, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, as well as Hope sits in our network also. So in that Michael Griffiths network, we'll put a link below. Come and hang out in there, and Hope's in there, so you can connect with her directly and find ways to be able to do things and work together, because Hope's always looking for great partners also, which is how we found each other those months ago. So again, thank you for joining us, whether you're with us on Referral TV, through the podcast, or on social media. This has been another lovely episode with experts around the globe that are doing great things, and really what we want to continue to do is bring great people into our network for you to be able to utilize, use, and be able to meet. And we've certainly got a great one there in Hope. So Hope, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for being such a great connector.
No, lovely. So until next time, look forward to catching up with you real soon. If it's the first time you've ever seen one of these, make sure you join the network, grab some great resources, and we look forward to seeing you again real soon. So take care.